Hi, my name is Dawn, and I work with Doctors ACO. Today, I'm here to help you find out how to check eligibility on your patients for annual wellness visits. If you enjoy this video and you think it was helpful at the end, please like it. That'll be my reward. Doctors ACO is an accountable care organization. Medicare wants to pay primary care physicians to help control cost. Accountable care organizations save Medicare money by reducing fraud, waste, inefficiency, and unnecessary tests and treatment. Medicare has learned that the best way to do this is to incentivize their doctors to help control cost. Did you know that doctors control almost all medical expenditures in the U.S.? And what's the best way to do it and be effective? Exactly. Help Medicare and do what they want you to do. Our first step to a successful ACO was doing annual wellness visits in our office. Annual wellness visits are not a physical exam. They save money for Medicare. They identify preventable medical conditions on your patient. They increase revenue for your practice. And they increase Medicare beneficiaries assigned to your practice as well. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's go through some items that you're going to need in order to register for the eligibility website for Georgia. First, you're going to need your provider transaction number, which is also known as your PTAN. Second, you're going to need your National Provider Identification Number, which is also known as your NPI. Taxpayer Identification Number, or your TIN. Most importantly, you're going to need a Medicare check remittance with your check number, your check date, and your check amount. Once you've gathered this information, we can move forward with registering you. You'll also need to know who you're going to name as your LSO, which is your local security officer for your website. You'll need their first and last name, an email address, and we're going to have to set up a user ID and password so that you can access the site whenever you need to. So let's access the site. Let's go to your web browser. And let's enter the URL in at the top of the screen. www.cahabagba.com. This will bring you to the Cahaba Government Benefit Administrator's website. Scroll to the bottom of the website and you'll see the Cahaba GBA Insight. It says to check claims, check eligibility, and see financials. So let's enroll today. Once we've reached the Cahaba GBA Insight website on your homepage, let's quickly read through the information listed here and go ahead and click I agree. Your next page is your user login ID and password. So here is where you're going to select new user. Let's also read the confidentiality agreement here for your online services agreement. And you can go ahead and click I agree. So once you come to your personal information page, we're going to fill out this information. So our first name, our last name, we'll need an email address. This personal information should be a trusted employee to be set up as your LSO, which is your local security officer. Select your time zone. Then you're going to select a user ID. You need at least 4 alpha and 3 numeric. So for example, ABCD 1, 2, 3. Our password is unique. It needs to be between 8 and 30 characters in length. and must contain 3 out of 4 requirements. You need at least one alphabet character, numeric character, special character, or one uppercase character. So choose your password and then verify your password. Next, you must choose a challenge question and then your challenge answer. Once you've inputted all the data, you can go ahead and hit Next. Once you have set up your new account and you have your new user, it will bring you back to the Cahaba GBA Insight homepage. At this point, you will sign in with your new user ID and password. User ID, and you can go ahead and put in your new password. And go ahead and click OK. Once you've signed in, it'll ask you if you want to save your password or if you don't. You can choose whatever works best for you. It'll bring you to the home page, and up top, you'll see you have Home, My Provider Profile, Claims, Entitlement, Financials, User Profile, and User Management. At this time, we're going to go ahead and finish our registration process. So we're going to go ahead and go to Provider Profile. So let's click that, and we're going to go to Query up under Providers. So you'll enter in your PTAN, which is your provider transaction number, your NPI, which is your National Provider Identification Number, your taxpayer identification number, your last 5 digits of your taxpayer, your provider supplier name, physical city, state, and your line of business. And you can go ahead and click Go. Once you click Go, you can go ahead and go to My User Profile. We're still finishing our registration process. So under My User Profile, under System Access, you're going to go to New. And you're going to enter in this data here, which is once again your NPI, your National Provider Identification Number, your PTAN, your Provider Transaction Number, and the last 5 digits of your Tax Identification Number, or better known as your TIN. Your line of business would be the same. If your office, it would be Part B. If your hospital, it would be Part A. Your state, which would be Georgia. And then over to the right, under User Management, this is where you're going to enter in your check number, check amount, and your access code. Keep in mind your check number and your amount must be within the last 90 days. So today, your access code is what you're registering for. You won't actually get your access code until 7 to 10 business days after you register. So once you enter all the data in, other than your access code, you're going to go ahead and hit Save. Once you save it, you'll see here, it'll populate up under your system access with a red arrow that says Open Status. Your open status means that you've completed the registration process. Once you receive your access code from Medicare in the mail, which should come to you within 10 to 7 days, you'll come back to this screen and you'll go to Edit under System Access. And here is where you'll plug in that access code. Once you receive your access code and you plug that in, you're going to hit Save. And then under System Access, you're going to have a blue arrow that now has you approved. Once you complete this status, you should be able to log into the Cahaba website for eligibility and check claims at this point. Next, we will check eligibility for a patient. So once our access has been granted and you've received your access code in the mail from Medicare and you've plugged that in, you have an approved status here. You have an arrow with an approved status. So now we can check eligibility. So let's do some eligibility check. Let's go up to the top of the screen and click Entitlement. Here it opens up a beneficiary eligibility information screen. So we have beneficiary Medicare number, last name, first name, and our date of birth. So let's hit Query and let's plug that information in. I have a special patient that we're going to use today. This is my grandmother. So once we put her Medicare number in, her last name, her first name, and also her date of birth. This is the information you'll need in order to access her eligibility information. So we plug the information in and we go ahead and select Go. So now we have accessed our information for our patient. So we have our personal and demographic information up here. We also have some Medicare secondary payer information if they're eligible for that. And then we have our preventative services. The preventative service that we're looking at today is our G code. This G code here, which is G0439, is our subsequent wellness visit code. This patient has already had her initial wellness visit code, which is G0438, which currently pays about $160. The subsequent code, the G0439, currently pays about $110 to $120. This gives us our information here. She had her subsequent wellness visit, and her next eligibility date is February the 1st, 2016. So this tells me she had her wellness on February the 1st, 2015, or somewhere thereabout. So next year, we want to make sure that she's scheduled for her wellness visit in February of 2016. So just think about it. If we have 1,000 patients that have Medicare, and we make sure our patients are scheduled for their wellness appointment, which is what Medicare wants us to do. Think about it. These pay $120 per visit, and we have 1,000 patients. Think about how much revenue that could be for your practice. So we want to make sure that we check our eligibility on all of our Medicare patients and make sure we're doing what Medicare and CMS want us to do. It's just good medicine. They want us to take care of our patient. So now that I have shown you that using the Insight online eligibility website, you can learn a lot about your patients. By doing annual wellness visits, you will not only increase your revenue, you will improve patient care, and you'll also discover prosperity in primary care with doing the right thing. If you have any questions or need any assistance, please contact Doctors ACO. You can contact me, Dawn Dobbs, at 706-296-8632, or you can contact Cahaba directly. The Cahaba Provider Contact Center is 1-877-567-7271. Thank you, and don't forget, if you like this video and if it was helpful, please like it. That will be my reward.